This time we'd like to welcome the student athletes from Louisville. To my far left is Jordan Wara, a sophomore forward, and to my immediate left, graduate transfer guard Kristen Cunningham. At this time, we'll take questions for our student athletes.
Tim Sullivan, Louisville Courier-Journal for Kristen. Is this what you envisioned when you decided to come to Louisville? The projections were 11th in the ACC and all that. Did you think the NCAA tournament was attainable?
Yeah, my number one goal when I came to the University of Louisville was to be able to compete for a national title, and I thought we could make the tournament from day one. So it feels good to finally achieve it and be here.
Luke Meredith from the Associated Press, for either one of you guys. This may sound like a simple question, but how'd you guys get here? I mean, backing up what he said, that not many people expected you here in March, but what is it about this group that has allowed you guys to make it here?
We're going to start with Jordan first, and then we're finish with Kristen.
Getting here, I think it's just us working hard and being tough. So really just working hard, being tough, just listen to what Coach Mack and the rest of the coaching staff has preached to us all year, really sticking together. And because of that, we were able to, win a few big games and do well in the ACC, which got us here.
Yeah, I would say that similar. We were a resilient group. We had a really tough schedule. We knew that coming into the year, but, we took the motto of being tough together and unbreakable, and just trying to beat the odds. We used being picked 11th as a chip on our shoulder for motivation, and knew what we wanted to achieve.
Back to the aisle.
Coach Mack is known for using negative motivation to fuel you guys. Has the whole Minnesota-Patino angle been played out in practice or privately among you players and with the coaching staff? Has that been a source of motivation?
Start with Jordan first.
No, we haven't even really talked about that at all, actually. We're just worried about playing Minnesota. That's, Coach Patino is here. He's not here anymore. Now it's Coach Mack. Obviously we know Minnesota has Coach Patino's son, but we haven't talked about that. We're just worried about Minnesota. We know they're a great team, and that's really our focus right now, just going into tomorrow and doing our best we can to win the game.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's kind of a sexy storyline for the media, but as far as our program's concerned, we worried about beating Minnesota and advancing. I mean, it's not about any name that's associated with the school. It's just about players going out there and making plays.
Other questions? Back row.
Yeah, Hobie RT with Fox 9 in Minneapolis. What's the biggest thing that stands out about Minnesota to you guys? What they do really well? I mean, they're a team that's won a few straight right now. What stands out to you?
Probably their big guards. Amir Coffey he's a really good player, and then obviously Jordan is a great player too. Double machine. They can beat you up in the post. Just gonna have to be physical with them too. Just do our best against that.
Yeah, they're a really physical team. Got bigger guards and some really physical guys in the post. So, we understand what they bring to the table. We just got to match their intensity in the paint.
No, you're not supposed to look ahead, but you've already beat Michigan State. When you saw this bracket, did you think this is a really good route for us or really good draw? Either one.
Jordan?
I mean, everything's going to be tough no matter where you are in the bracket. Every team at this point of the year is going to be good. They're here for a reason. Right now, we're not even looking ahead to, Michigan State. Michigan State has to play Bradley first, so we're not even worried about that. Worried about playing Minnesota. They're not going to be somebody who's going to go in and trounce by 20. We got to go play hard and do our best to beat those guys first, and then we'll worry about the game after that. So it's going to be tough regardless of who we play, but right now we're just worried about getting past Minnesota.
Yeah, same. I don't think we've looked ahead to Michigan State at all, but obviously we played them earlier in the year. But I'd probably say I know we're a much different team that played them, and I'm positive they're probably a much different team as well. But like Jordan said, we just focused on Minnesota. Got to take it one game at a time.
Other questions? Still have 5 minutes in this session. I'll ask each of you guys a question here. Christian, what did you anticipate your role to be when you transferred this year to Louisville? What were you looking to provide on the court?
Yeah, I knew right away I was going to be a guy who would come in and provide leadership for this team. I had a lot of talented players, but not a lot of experience. So it was one thing I wanted to come in and do is just try to be a leader on and off the court, and then, as far as on the court, just be a playmaker. I mean, I got a ton of great players around me, really talented. I knew it would be my job to just put them in positions where they could be successful.
And then, Jordan, you're the most improved player in the ACC. What do you attribute that to?
Just a lot of hard work in the off season. Coach Mack, the coaching staff, and really my teammates, pushing me every day, being in the weight room. Then also playing overseas helped me a lot this summer too. Really just, boosting my confidence, being able to do well over there kind of translated to being able to do well here too. And, from there, it's really just a confidence thing, just really keeping that and just staying in the gym.
Okay, we do have a question in the back row here.
There's so many games in the NCAA tournament, so many teams playing at the same time, but you guys get the first game of the day. Does that kind of up the ante with everything, knowing that all eyes are going to be on you to kick this thing off?
Yeah, I think it ups the ante. Everybody's going to be watching this first game. But like I said earlier, I think we're already hyped enough as it is for this game. A lot of these guys, including myself, it's our first time being in the tournament. And we're really excited, and we just want to go out there and, show people what Louisville basketball is about.
Yeah, it's definitely super cool to be able to be the first game in the tournament. Everybody's going to be watching, but also the flip side to it is if we don't bring it, we could be the first team out of the tournament. So we're going to use it both ways, but yeah, it's something we're looking forward to.
Any other questions? If not, we're going to dismiss our student athletes. Just a reminder, the Louisville locker room is open until 12:20, and we'll have Coach up here shortly. Thank you very much, guys. Best of luck. Just a reminder, the Louisville locker room will remain open until 12:20. We have head coach Chris Mack up here in a couple minutes. Okay, we're ready for our next session with Louisville head coach Chris Mack. The Cardinals from the Atlantic Coast Conference are making their 39th appearance in the NCAA tournament. Coach, welcome to Des Moines.
Thank you. Glad to be here, and obviously a big challenge here tomorrow against a very physical opponent in Minnesota. And you know, it's odd to be the first game of the tournament, but that's how the draw works. So we're excited to be in Des Moines and excited to start off the tournament.
This time we'll take questions for the head coach. Please raise your hand on the left side.
Tim Sullivan, Louisville Courier-Journal. Chris, this is the first game of the tournament. There are a lot of people who think that this matchup was designed for ratings or storylines or that. As you process all that, A, what do you believe along those lines? And B, have you used some of the perceptions about it as motivational fuel for your players?
I haven't even talked about it with our players. I just feel like it's such a special experience to make the NCAA tournament for a few of our guys for the very first time and only time in their career. So to focus on anything other than trying to be at our best against a really good Minnesota team, I think would be robbing them of the experience of being here. You know, I don't mind, and I understand why media are going to ask about it. But, you know, here's the thing. I took over for a Hall of Fame coach. I get that. He's a terrific coach. You know, I asked him his advice on Louisville when I took over the program, and he was nothing but gracious to me. But this is about the players and the coaches' experience in the tournament, and that's it. It's no more than that. And, you know, I think the committee probably could have had a little bit more self-awareness so that we don't have to be up here answering these type of questions and focusing on the student athletes and the coaches' experience and the fan base's experience. But, you know, I can't control that.
Other questions for the coach? Left side.
Luke Meredith, the Associated Press. Coach, a lot of people haven't seen you play very much this year. Are going to see you play tomorrow. For people who aren't familiar with your team, how would you describe this particular group? What they've done to get here?
That's a great question. I feel like we're a resilient group. We've been through a lot. I think we're a very together group. And sometimes that may not come out on the floor in terms of making the right play or being at our best, but the intention has always been clear with our group. We are a very, very together group, a close-knit group. It's no secret that, when I took over, there wasn't the greatest light around the program. And I told our players in the very beginning when I met with them that they weren't the cause for it, but they could certainly be the cure for it. And I think anybody that's watched us play this year, and I've asked our players to be this way, I want fans or people that watch our team to say, wow, those guys play hard. They play together. They play the right way. We haven't been perfect, but I'm really proud of our group because they've done that all year long, and that's all you can ask for as a coach.
Going to stay on the left side in the back.
Andy Greeter, St. Paul Pioneer Press. When you acclimated yourself to the Gophers, how much has Jordan Murphy stood out, and given the fact that he's 6'5", 6'6", to be able to produce like he does?
He's that short. Wow. I haven't been next to him, so I don't know that, but he looks like he's 6'11" on film. He's very, very strong. I think like all great players, he really knows who he is. He has an identity in terms of how he plays, and he doesn't try to get outside that identity. You hear him in his interviews. You can tell he's really smart. He'd be a great leader. I mean, to be where he's at in the history of the Big Ten rebounding the ball, man, says a lot about the type of player and the will that he has. So we're going to have to do it collectively. Some teams in the Big Ten have put their 5 on him. I've seen him seek and destroy 4s and 5s. So we have to be able to do it as a team. And he jumps out on film. But, like a lot of teams that make this tournament, he's not their only threat, not even close. And so, he's just a part of their machine.
Stay on the left side.
Not to look ahead, but the first Michigan State game was kind of a breakthrough for your program. I think people perceived that you were further ahead maybe than they expected. In your own mind, did you see this potential that early, and what told you that this had the makings of a tournament team?
Yeah, this will have nothing to do with who's on the other side of our pairing or bracket, because we're not naive enough to think that we're going to get past Minnesota. We're focused on trying to play the Gophers. I really had this belief in the summer when I worked with our players. I saw their work ethic up close, their skill level. I saw the strides they were making. And I think they all, and I'm talking about our players, they all became a little bit more believers in themselves when we went to New York and played in the Barclays. And although we didn't win 2 games, I specifically remember Mike DeCourcy, saying if Louisville just doesn't look bad, just doesn't play poorly, doesn't get decimated by Tennessee and Marquette, which were very valid, points from an outsider's perspective that early in the season. But we played Tennessee tooth and nail, and in the last 5 minutes couldn't score against their zone. And then we played Marquette. Felt like we had control of the game virtually the entire game and didn't play well in the last 2 minutes. And I don't think anybody in our locker room felt like we played a perfect game in either of those. So when we left New York, although we were 0-2, I think there was a belief in our locker room that we could have done the job. We should have done the job. Now we have to figure out in practice what we need to do to get the job done in those type of games.
Stay on the left. Standing up.
Eric Crawford, WDRB. Chris, you have so few players who've done any of this at the NCAA level. They haven't been through any of the trappings of the tournament. What kind of challenge is that beyond just getting them ready to play, or is there a challenge?
It's
there?
Basketball. We try to be the same team, whether we're in our practice facility, whether we're at Drake today, whether we're at the Yum Center or in Chapel Hill. It really doesn't matter. You could point to teams all over the country. UMBC a year ago, I don't think they'd ever been in the NCAA tournament. So, this isn't, putting a rock in a slingshot or anything. It's basketball. We got to be prepared like we are every game. And then we have to go out and try to execute that game plan to the best of our ability against a really good team.
Go back.
One more. When your team has been good, it's done some pretty special things against some really good teams, maybe not for 40 minutes. But when you look at that, is that kind of the upside for this team, the ability? Are they that much above their heads, or is it just a matter of them getting to that more consistently?
Yeah, I tell our team all the time, Eric, that we don't have to be perfect. Nobody that we play is going to be perfect. It's not going to require a perfect effort to win, or a perfect game plan. It's just our effort and our energy and our resiliency. Those things have to be perfect. Those things have to be perfect. You might miss a shot, might miss a free throw, you turn the ball over, but our effort and our energy needs to be better than our opponents, and it needs to be consistent each and every night. And that's hard. That's hard to do for a long stretch of games from October all the way through now. That's very difficult. A lot of teams can't do it, and I think our team's done a great job of that. We're not always, again, perfect, but I think we've done our part.
I have time for 2 more questions on the left side.
A lot of the teams that are seeded 1 or 2 are familiar to you in this season, ridiculously so almost.
I'd like to thank Kenny Klein for that scheduling.
What is the value at this point in the season to having gone through that gauntlet?
I know our players feel as though there won't be a team that we'll face where we'll wonder whether we can compete with them or not. I think there are a lot of teams that come into this tournament that say, hey, we want to win some games, but man, if we're matched up against a few teams, like, can we really play with those guys and give ourselves a chance to win? I know our group feels like we can, because we have been. We've been forced to because of our schedule. We have come out on the short end of the stick, and there's a reason why. They are the best teams in the country. One of the teams that we played, I believe, will be holding the national championship trophy if it's not us. And that's the type of schedule we've played. So I think it should give our guys great confidence that if we stay within ourselves and play with great energy and just do what we work on every single day, that'll be good enough to keep us there down the stretch to win a game. I don't know. It could be different teams on different nights.
One final question for the coach. Thank you, Coach. Wish you the best luck.
You don't have any questions up here, ladies?
Louisville will be practicing at 12:30. Their locker room's open for 2 more minutes. Next session will start at 12:35 with Michigan State.